Okay, we are back with another Between the Pages book chat, and today we have guest author Anat Eliraz. Hope I'm close with that. And
You
we're
got
here to
that
talk.
right on.
We're, here to talk about her fantasy book, Jewels of Smoky Quartz. And I'm going to turn it over to her, let her introduce herself better and with a better pronunciation, and take it away.
Hi, everybody. And you pronounced my name fantastically. It was point blank, it was accurate. So nice to meet everybody. My name is Anat Eliraz, and I wrote the book Jewels of Smoky Quartz. And it's actually a portal fantasy that tells about a nurse who also practices martial arts. And one day she goes to train outside and she actually finds herself in another world where she needs to use her wit and skills to survive and find her way and see if she can get back to where she came from or if it's a sealed door behind her which she can't pass through.
Okay, so what were your reasons for writing the book, inspirations, that sort of thing?
So it actually started that a few years back. It was a winter kind of evening, and my husband was abroad. That was before COVID, and I was I don't really like to see too much TV, and I was kind of just sitting and thinking about stuff. And I had an earlier discussion with some friends about if we have free will or not. And what I mean by it is not not on a religious basis, but how much are we affected the way we think by the society we live in, by our governments, by things we learn in our schools or anywhere else around us, and how much it affects the way we see the world around us and the decisions that we make. And that was actually the first idea I had for the story, is if we actually have free will, or some things kind of not pre-ordered, but pre-decided for us along the way.
It's sort of like a nature versus nurture argument is kind of
In
the.
a, in a way, since it's fantasy, so of course it has to do with more of a magical theme than actual nature and nurture. But yeah, that's the main idea.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the protagonist. What's she like?
Okay, she's very self-centered person. She knows what she wants. She hadn't had a very easy childhood and life, and that made her a person that pushes forward to get to the things she wants. Um, she grew up in foster homes, um, and that kind of made her want always to have something that belongs to her. It's if it's like owning her own place, having a job that she's good at and she enjoys to do, and this is why she actually went to learn in nursing school. Um, and since her teenage years, she had been practicing in martial arts, and this is something that kind of gave her kind of a backbone, some place that she's actually feeling that she belongs, something that gives her a purpose, makes her see the world from a better perspective. And this is this is her background. This is what she came from. And suddenly, when she's thrown into a place where kind of everything she values kind of turns upside down, suddenly everything that she used to own doesn't belong to her. Her her work as a nurse, as a trauma nurse, which she was very good at, suddenly she can't do it because she's in a world that is more like a medieval time in concept of technology and medicine and everything like that. So there are things she can do, but usually in her job she had, technology and medicine and things she could use, and suddenly it's not available. And on the other hand, her martial arts, which was a hobby, and indeed she did put a lot of effort into it, but still it was something she did out of fun, became something that was the majority of what was holding her together at this point, what was helping her to survive.
Very interesting. It sounds like that you sort of gave her a lot of problems there.
Yep.
So, uh, your book is a portal fantasy. It starts out in, I'm assuming, our world or close
Yeah.
facsimile, and then it pops into the fantasy world. So, what kind of fantasy world is it, and what kind of influences did you pull from?
Okay, so as I said, it's more of a medieval kind of scenery. Um, there is how can I say? I think that it's more like a European scene than it's not like Asian or African in concept. Um, in the first book, you don't get a lot of understanding about how the magic actually works. You get some tips and some parts about it, but since most of the book is written from her point of view, then she sees the world and how she grasps everything. And since she doesn't have a lot of knowledge about everything that's going on there, then it's a bit limited even for the reader. So that's kind of about how the world works. I got a lot of ideas because one of the things
Oops, I think she froze. Yeah, we lost her. Okay, we'll just wait a few minutes here, see if she comes back in. Apparently, the internet connection, she's coming out of Israel, so the internet connection might be a bit spotty today, and we lost her entirely. So, okay. So we will wait till she pops back. Oh, she's back.
sorry,
And she's back. No, it's okay.
yeah,
Happens.
I was teleported to the other world and came back. Sorry, I
Okay.
don't know what happened, if it was on my end or not, but
Oh, it's just the internet glitch. We'll blame it on the gremlins. Halloween gremlins got us.
so I don't know when you stopped hearing me.
I think we got most of it. The gist of it, it was just basically the we see the world through her eyes, so it's sort of doled out slowly to the readers.
Yeah.
So okay. So you said it was more of a medieval European style fantasy. Is that an interest of yours, or did you just want to go with sort of a more traditional fantasy type of a world?
I know some people are kind of tired of the more traditional, but this is actually one of the types of fantasy I like. Um, I used to play many years Dungeons and Dragons since the middle of the 80s and up till the beginning of 2000 plus. So these are a lot of the scenery that we used to do in our adventures, and I just like it.
Yeah,
that
I think Dungeons and Dragons influences a lot of fantasy books. I hear that a lot from authors that one of their big influences Dungeons that they play the Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
So we can thank Dungeons and Dragons for keeping the traditional fantasy alive, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was the hardest scene or type of scene that you wrote in the book?
Um, I think that the climax scene that is actually sorry. about this. Let's see what's going on. Oh, I'm really sorry about this.
Oh, no worries.
Mm, sorry. Okay. I think that the main scene that I was really afraid of actually writing was the climax scene, which is a conversation between the protagonist and the antagonist, the main antagonist. And I knew what was supposed to happen there, and I knew some of the things they had to talk about. And I just didn't know how I'm going to intertwine everything and have it flow into a logical conversation. And when I finally sat down to write it, I just wrote it in one go. And I think nothing of that conversation had been changed during editing. Maybe just tenses, but in general, nothing of the whole conversation or subjects that have been brought up there has changed. And I was like, how did that happen? Because I was so afraid of actually writing it. And in the end, it was like first try and it was perfect.
Well, that's good. I'm glad for you. So, what was your favorite scene or type of scene that you wrote for the book?
um, I like some of the parts that are kind of like the main character has a
And she froze again. We're having more internet glitches here.
and so she has a few parts like that going on there. I can give an example, like two small examples without really giving spoilers out. There's this part that she's been thrown into this small cell and it's dark and she can't see anything. She's feeling things around. So she gets about the idea of how big it is and what's in it. And then there's something standing at the corner and she kind of kicks it and backs up. And it's a wooden bucket. And she goes like, oh, 5-star hotel, I wonder what's for dinner. So it's a kind of, this is not good and this is something bad is really happening here. And she still kind of makes a joke out of it. And another part is when she's actually trying to teach a group of fighters um, some parts of martial arts, of the martial arts that she's doing. And she taught them a certain movement, and she's looking at them doing it. And all she can think about is that they look like a very weird bunch of ballerine dancers that all she wants to do is like take out her phone, take a video of them and then stick pink tutu dresses on them and make it viral on the internet. And of course, it's not her world, but since she does come from Earth, then this is the kind of things that she's looking at, and it was really kind of fun to write from a modern person perspective in a fantasy world scene.
Okay, yeah, that sounds interesting. Yeah, humor is always fun to write. So, you mentioned an antagonist. Tell us a little bit about the antagonist.
Oh, that's a little problem. Um,
Okay, no,
I
we don't want
can't say.
spoilers, though.
No, it's going to be hard to say much about it without spoiling.
Okay,
Um,
so there is. Let's say that there is an antagonist. We'll leave it at that.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, and SD Houston here wants to know if the phone works over in the other world.
no, she doesn't have it with her, but it's just like, this is something she's thinking, oh, if only I had my phone here, so this would have gone viral.
Okay, so what's your main character afraid of?
Um, she is afraid of losing her how do you say, she's afraid of losing her independence. She's afraid of she had lost trust in people in some occasions, and it takes time for her to put her trust back into people. She can befriend people, but until she'll actually trust them, it will take much longer. And it's from things that she had gone through before in her childhood or during her life. And these are kind of the things that she really needs to deal with. And some of her grow arc is also around these things, about learning to, you know, take a deep breath and go forward, even if she's not sure if this is not going to hurt her again.
Cool. So you obviously write fantasy. Are there any other genres you'd like to try in future?
I don't know. I actually have started uh, before I actually wrote this book. I started a kind of a book that was supposed to be a bundle of short stories, which were supposed to be connected to pregnancies, all kinds of funny small stories about pregnancy related, mother-in-laws related to the pregnancies, things that the women in this case go through during this part of their life, which is the pregnancy. Um, it was like supposed to be, you know, a few short stories, not maybe even a novella, and not actually a whole book, but something like light reading on a train or something like that, that will make you smile and be able to finish one story on a train ride or something like that. Um, but I've got lots of projects like this which I've never finished. I might one day finish it, but right now it's just a few short parts and like the prologue and stuff like that written, and I haven't done much much more about it.
Okay,
And
so
that's not fantasy related.
yeah, we had a question here. Um,
Sure.
she wants to know how old your protagonist is.
My protagonist is 29 years old.
Okay, so
You
she's
you
young,
don't
but not too young, which is nice.
No, she's not too young. She's a grown up, not a teenager. It's not like come into adulthood or something like that. She's already an adult. I'm not sure that her actual age is mentioned in the book, but you get the idea because she finished. She's already after high school. She's already after university, and she's already working so and so years in the emergency room. So even if you don't know her exact age, she has to be in her late 20s at least.
Yeah,
So
because if she's working as a nurse, she had to go through nursing school, and that'll take a few
yeah,
years.
yeah, and it's also mentioned that she's already working so and so years in the ER. So you can get the idea of her age, even if it's not mentioned by a number.
Okay, so is this going to be a standalone book? Or are you planning to write more in the series?
So actually, it was a standalone, and it can be read as a standalone. I mean, the main story comes to an end. You get an answer for what's been questioned in the book itself. But I did leave an opening in the end for another book, since as I was finishing writing it, I had a whole idea of how to continue it. And then I said, okay, I still want to have an ending for this book, but if somebody really likes it, then they can have another book and, get a better perspective about the world, about things that you didn't get in this book because most of it was from her point of view and she didn't know too much about this world. So hopefully I will finish the second book at some point. There are about like between 50 and 60 pages written until now. I'm kind of debating with myself. I've been having trouble deciding if I want to go down the road I'm going to right now, about some of the things I thought for the book. It's kind of getting darker in the second book, and I'm not sure I want to go down that lane or not. So it might change a little. So I'm right now taking a break from it to rethink things, and actually started another book that was a project that I was thinking about as I was writing the first book.
Well, as
It's like
someone who's writing 6+ books at the moment, I'm not going to criticize. I can't.
it's like you're having a block, an author's block on this. No problem. Write another book. Exactly.
Yeah, that's basically how I write. They all seem to get finished eventually, though. So anyway, well, I think we'll wrap it up here, and I'd like to thank you for being our guest. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you for having me. It was great fun. Sorry for all the technical problems around. But,
Okay, so why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and your book?
Okay, so best place to find me is on Facebook. Look me up, and there is the picture of. If I hope you can see it. Yeah, that's the. It's there with my name as well. So best places to find me there, and either message me through Facebook. I love to chat and correspond with my readers. It's the funnest thing about it is getting comments as people read the book, and then as things happen throughout the book, how their comments change, and it I just enjoy it so much. So feel free, if anybody wants, you're welcome. Best place to find my book is on Amazon. It's if anybody has Kindle Unlimited, it's free there, and it's available both as a paperback and an ebook.
And I have the book linked in the description below, as well as her Amazon page. So, and Shannon wants to wish you good luck on the sequel. So,
Thank you very much.
okay, so that's it for
Finger.
this episode of we're almost. Oh, okay, I almost called it by my other podcast name. That's it for this episode of Between the Pages Book Chat. And I'd like to thank our guests and join us next weekend for another episode. And that's all for now. Bye.